I'm talking today about the sextile between Neptune and Pluto. And this has been going on for 80 years. It's incredible. I mean, this will never happen again. And the two energies that we're discussing are very different from one another, each having a different idea about the nature of reality. Pluto suggesting that we need to die to what we were in order to be reborn. And then we'll do it again and again and again and again until eventually we will know absolute truth, which is divinity, the source, life itself. Whereas Neptune is saying, look, there is no truth. The truth is what you make it up to be. It's your choice to interpret things however you want. And making up the narrative of the meaning of life is the meaning of life. And these two energies have been working in harmonious connection for all of our lives. Everyone alive has got either the sextile itself or something close, a bit large orb perhaps, but everybody's got the sextile. In my case, it was actually exactly sextile on the day I was born. Now, as Neptune moved into Aries very recently, the world suddenly changed. And the whole of the 80 years that we've lived since the war ended has had a certain underlying quality called globalization. The whole of the world has been trading safely with one another, which has made everyone more efficient and has made us phenomenally rich. Individually, we're able to enjoy things that people make, and whoever can make them best makes them, because we can trade, and so we've got cheap goods, and we've got too much of them. We bought and bought and bought and bought and created a vast amount of waste products, and it's unsustainable. It has to end, and the ending of it is upon us. The tariff war that Trump's currently undertaking will reduce the movement all around the globe of things, and we're going to find it more difficult to buy what we used to buy easily, and having to put up with things and make do and repair and all that kind of thing, that will come back in fashion if we're lucky. But the threat is bigger than that there may be a complete breakdown of the normal operation of life. There may be war, there is trade war already, so that there certainly will be the end of what we have known. And as Neptune and Pluto have just moved from negative signs into positive signs, and Uranus will do the same very soon, and those three planets are in a mutual aspect in June, which is very rare indeed, and it's a very unusual event within a cycle that began a long, long time ago, 577 BC, when the three outer planets were in conjunction. Everything started then, the modern era, and to some extent it's reached its natural conclusion now, or at least a major transfer point. So as the world is going through this upset, each individual has their own relationship with that upset. So on a personal level, it matters to us. Even though it's a global issue, we will sort of suffer the consequences on a personal level. And there will be a choice to make for everyone, whether to celebrate the opportunity of Neptune in Aries to become more self-expressive, to change our narrative about the nature of reality, or to align with Pluto in Aquarius, where humanity itself is going through a transformative experience as one unit, or some way doing both of those things, which seems paradoxical, but it's not. It's actually a mystery that we need to understand now. Each of us needs to claim our own narrative as individuals. Neptune in Aries clearly is saying that. Neptune is creativity. Aries is the self, and this is the first degree of Aries. So there's no greater thrust in the zodiac. This is the first I am, I exist. That's the essential life force is now being operated by Neptune. So the narratives that you have, whatever you're thinking, is empowered to come to pass more clearly, more authentically, more legitimately, and more quickly than you've ever known. And at the same time, Pluto is saying in Aquarius, humanity needs to wake up. And if you haven't done that voluntarily, let me help you along here. It's going to be compulsory now. There has to be an awakening. What does that mean? What does that even mean, that humanity is awakening now? Well, first of all, humanity doesn't necessarily include everyone. There will be a choice. Every one of us has free will, so there will be a choice. And some people stubbornly choose not to awaken, not to believe in the possibility. And they won't because of that choice. That's their free choice. Those of us who claim that we can awaken, we will awaken. And there has been so much taught that makes it very difficult to believe that awakening is just for someone else, not for me. That very few people commit to doing it. But that level of commitment to do it is a requirement of it. You have to choose to commit to mastery and awakening for it to occur. And I think this is what Neptune in Aries is telling us. Aries is not slow in coming forward. Aries says, I am. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to have. That's Aries, isn't it? The first degree of Aries. That thrusting energy. Because if they didn't thrust, they wouldn't come to exist. It's the first breaking out of the shell into life itself. First degree of Aries. And Neptune saying, right, tell me your story. You know, each of us has got a story to tell, our own unique narrative. And it's the sum total of all of these individual self-expression stories that creates the group that Pluto can then transform into group consciousness. It's hard to explain how that works, but I've come to understand this through the medium of dance. When I was a dance teacher, I could get a group of people all to be doing the same dance movements, all to be doing the same mantric chanting, all to be doing the same breathing rhythm, all to be losing self in the spiritual experience until we got to that state of grace where all of us were in the same mood, the same consciousness, the same awareness. There was a group event occurring, and none of us then wanted to move out of that group experience into self enjoyment, because the group enjoyment was higher. It was a spiritual experience which was much higher dimension than the earthly experience of selfhood. Having said that, it was only made possible because all of the individuals within the group were themselves authentically expressing who they are and choosing to be who they are in the context of wanting to be like everyone else for this limited period of time. And I think that's what the sextile between Neptune and Pluto suggests to me. Neptune in Aries, make it up, do it your way, be individual, be unique. Pluto in Aquarius, let's do this together. Let's move into group consciousness together to collectively awaken. So I think this is happening, and I think it's happening soon. I think we're saying that in June, Neptune and Pluto are joined by Uranus, joined by Saturn, and that's the time where astrological energies are at the zenith, the exaltation of possibility of awakening. So, all in all, we need to get together in the mind what it is that we are, what it is that we want, what it is that's going on around us, the circumstances, the zeitgeist. Work all of those things out and come up with a vision, a narrative of how to be yourself in this changing world. that's credible. It's no good coming up with a fantasy version. It has to be a trajectory of where you are right now along certain lines. You can't suddenly not be who you are and become somebody else overnight. It has to be continuous in a certain direction. But it can change quickly, as we've seen very recently in political events. But we do need to understand that there's a responsibility involved. Whatever we choose to have will have implications. We can't just fantasize that it will be all right. It's not. Things aren't ever all right. We just got to move in a certain direction which is better than how we are. And then again, and again, again. So that step by step by step we move from this rather suboptimal way of being that our species has adopted and take our own narrative in our own hands and say, okay, if that's their choice, that's their choice, it's not my choice. I will find a group of people who feel the same way as me so that I can actually enter group consciousness with them at the same time finding my own narrative different from theirs. So this blending together of the self and the group is what the Neptune sextile Pluto suggests to me. And that's the sum total of my work over the last 10 years or something. That's what I'm doing in the Sacred Seven Academy. We're getting a group of people together to express individual visions and in our own unique ways, and at the same time do so such that group consciousness unfolds, and we can find this Neptune sextile Pluto energy in real life, not just the idea of it in concept, but in real life we can embody it. And there's a process that we need to go through. It's called How to Awaken, Mastery, How to Awaken, which is a 7-step process that we go through, which begins with self-awareness, and then life management, and embodied states, and keeping your eyes on the prize, knowing exactly what you want and never choosing anything different, and developing spiritual skills to help you do that, and awareness of what's going on in the world on that kind of cosmic level, higher level. In any point in time, there are 7 worlds that we live in. We only talk about the physical one typically, but there's 6 others. The astral plane, and the plane of the heart, and so on. And we need to know about those. We need to study those a little bit to realize that who we are is multi-layered. And we've been perhaps making our choices based on the earth plane, what I like to eat, how I like to be in relationship, on this physical level, what my money is like, all these very earthy things, whereas the other 6 planes are much more subtle than that. I mean, the higher levels, they're highly spiritual planes, and we must be able to touch those, because that's a part of who we are. For us to even conceive of God, we must have God within us. We couldn't have that concept of God without the 7th bit of us, the highest bit of us, being unified with unity. And we need to practice meditation states to get there, and have awareness of what to do in the earthly dimension as well. So that's the purpose of the Academy, and if you're interested in that, please get in touch. In the meantime, just sort out your own vision as June approaches. It will become more and more important for you to know who you are and what you're doing. And if you're not sure about those 2 things, life will become very confusing, all of a muddle, very quickly. So, good luck.